Bort? Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate!
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
Hello and welcome to the Bort Experience, Episode 3, Homer's Odyssey. If you're new to the channel, please check me out on the Noob News Network on YouTube and on Spotify, the Bort Experience, a Simpsons podcast. So please check me out. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that subscribed. As of this recording, I'm up to 76 subscribers. So I think since last recording, I've gained about 5 subscribers. So thank you so much on the YouTube channel. The Spotify numbers are still low, but like I said, I think sometimes YouTube is a stronger indicator. I've been on there a little bit longer and I'm growing that community. So thank you so much. I also wanted to shout out the No Homers Club and the Simpsons Archive. They've been really tremendous resources and communities to get knowledge and just talk about Simpsons. So thank you so much to the people that follow me on there. You can see my username here on screen if you want to check me out on the Bort Experience. And then, we can talk and you can ask questions and we can just have a good time. I also, big shout out to my wife who got me this amazing Simpsons kind of like Hawaiian type shirt. I love it. I had a joke that I told on social media, and I think maybe in the last episode, where, hey, there's almost 800 episodes of The Simpsons. Are you going to buy me a new shirt every episode? So we'll see if she continues to do that. So far, we're 3 for 3. So, first, I want to do the episode overview. We have the title of the episode is Homer's Odyssey is the third episode of the series. It originally aired on Fox in the United States on January 21st, 1990. It was written by Jay Kogan and Wallace Wolodarski and directed by Wesley Archer. So, the chalkboard gag that we got is I will not skateboard in the halls. And then the couch gag, the family hurries onto the couch, what makes it collapse. A big difference here, too, is when Homer is running into the house, we actually get the scream. We didn't get that the previous episode. I'm assuming that will continue, but we'll see. Every episode, we'll see what changes and what stays the same. So I'm going to give kind of like an overview of the episode here. We have Miss Krabappel takes Bart's Simpsons class on a field trip to the Springfield nuclear power plant. Distracted when Bart waves at him, Homer crashes an electric cart into a cooling vent and is fired. Homer searches for a new job without success. Feeling like a failure, he writes a note to his family and decides to commit suicide by tying a boulder to himself and jumping off a bridge. His family hurries to the bridge to save him, but they are almost run over by a speeding truck. Homer pulls them to safety just in time, and he is suddenly filled with a new reason to live. To place a stop sign at the dangerous intersection, after successfully petitioning the city council, Homer embarks on a public safety crusade that involves placing speed bumps and warning signs throughout the town. Inspired to use his new safety efforts in order not to give up on finding a new job, Homer takes on one of the biggest dangers in Springfield, the nuclear power plant. After Homer rallies people to his cause, Mr. Burns decides to end the fervor he is creating by offering him a new position as the plant safety inspector. Along with higher salary, Homer is torn between his principles and his livelihood. Tearful, he tells his followers that they must fight their battles on their own from this point on, and he takes the job. So that's kind of like the kind of quick overview of the episode. Some of the things that really kind of stood out to me was you get Black Smithers. Some research I did was in these early seasons, some of the coloring process and the animation, you can kind of tell it's a little bit rougher. And I just think, hey, he was meant to be a yellow character. They made him black. The animators did. So that's just a really interesting standout because, for most of the show, he doesn't look like that. So it's something that you notice. Another kind of big thing that I found interesting was just how the episode tackles not only environmentalism we get the safety video of when they go on the field trip of the plant and how nuclear energy is used and the nuclear waste that is produced by such effects. For me, like back in the 90s, I mean, like, man, that's kind of crazy how environmentalism and environmental issues and our planet with climate change, how that is such a big issue in today's world, and how they were tackling it in this show back in the 90s is pretty incredible, honestly. Um, Also, I think a thing that was, very interesting was just how also Homer being fired, which, it was his own incompetence. But I think a lot of people in today's world either know someone or maybe they've been affected themselves of being laid off. Microsoft, I'm a big Xbox gamer. They just had a ton of layoffs, I think over 9,000. Not to make fun of the Vegeta meme, but it's just kind of crazy. And then you see PlayStation doing the same thing. And then it's not just in the video game industry either. A lot of animators and animated studios and movie studios as well. And then just overall other jobs too, like that aren't even in the entertainment sector. You see people getting laid off, and the jobs are leaving or they're just being replaced by AI. And it's a scary time. And I feel like this really kind of spoke to me in a way that I didn't think it would. When you have a family, and if when you lose your job, that's very debilitating. And you can see, it's a very dark premise. Homer gonna commit suicide. And there's some like kind of funny bits in there about like the boulder. He carries it through town, and when he gets there, there's a boulder already right there by the bridge, and he's like, you live and you learn type thing. So there's comedy sprinkled throughout the entire episode, but I think the overtone of the depression and then losing your job and the environmentalism are very strong elements. And I think that's what really makes this show so amazing, is that it can tackle these really important issues, but in a comedy sitcom way that really resonates with me. And I think this is like one of the first really big things so far in my rewatch that kind of shows, hey, this show is not just meant for 100% kids. And the writers were writing to adults, and a lot of kids enjoyed it, like I did as well when I was a kid. But kind of going back and watching the show again as an adult, you kind of realize, man, these are some really major issues that really affect a lot of people. And maybe the writers weren't thinking that as much when they were writing the episode, but for me, it really affected me. And just how, our world is threatened by a lot of climate kind of things. Those horrible Texas floods just happened recently, and it just makes you like really wonder and what we can do individually in that regard. And then also just with people losing their jobs, and the job market. And it's it's a scary place out there. But I think this episode tackled these issues very well in a very comedic way, but then also a very serious tone. It was fantastic to me. Also, some of the things I noticed throughout the episode, we got the first scene with Blinky the fish, the three-eyed fish, because of the toxic waste dump. When Smither says, hey, we release it back into the ocean or to the streams of Springfield. And also another great scene was Otto, the bus driver. I believe that's the first time we've seen him. I don't think we saw him last episode or the first episode, but we see Otto, and he's, going to drive them to the nuclear power plant. But I think, it's kind of insinuated that he's always either high or on some kind of drugs. So he goes around like twice pretty much. But we get kind of to see some of the town. We see the tire. I don't think it's on fire, but we see the tire pyramid. We also see the Springfield prison. So it's kind of cool that we got to see some of the town. Of course, it's going to expand and grow and really have a true layout. I don't know if that's necessarily established yet, but it's kind of great to see some of the town that we're going to be inhabiting for the next 30 plus years. And then also some characters that I noticed. One of my favorites, Chief Wiggum. He usually has some really funny lines, and he's pretty much complaining about this masked vigilante vandalism now known as El Barto. I think it's like great that the entire Simpsons family like sees a sketch of what he potentially looks like. It looks like an older Bart, kind of more gruff looking. And Homer says, "I wouldn't want to meet this guy in an alley." So it's just kind of, great that the family's completely oblivious and Bart's just having a good time vandalizing the town. So that's kind of like my overall like overview of the episode and my kind of thoughts. We're gonna jump into our next segment, the citizens of Springfield. So who appeared, and we'll probably kind of go into more, like I said, with each individual character. So we had Dan Castanella as Homer Simpson, Barney Gumbold, Mr. Winfield, City Council Member number 1, and City Council Member number 3. We have Julie Carvener as Marge Simpson, Nancy Cartwright as Bart Simpson, Lewis and actor. We have Yardley Smith as inmate, Carbon Rod number 2, and Lisa Simpson. It's kind of funny those that during that cartoon they have the carbon rods for the plutonium or the radioactive material, and when they go into the pool and they're like heating up, it's like they're like screaming in agony and pain, but that's what powers the turbines. I don't know if you've checked out the show, but Chernobyl is a fantastic HBO miniseries show. I believe 6 episodes, if I'm correct. It's a fantastic show, and there's a scene on there, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the show, where one of the main characters is going through how the reactor messed up in Chernobyl, and it kind of just reminded me when I was watching that scene of how he's so serious in this very like serious moment, but then when you see it on the kind of animated cartoon video for the children, it's kind of hilarious, like when you compare and contrast those two deliveries. All right, we have Harry Shearer as Mr. Burns, Otto, Waylon Smithers, Smilin' Joe Fission, SNPP supervisor, loaf time announcer Jasper, City Council number 2, City Council number 1, and demonstrator. We have Marcia Wallace as Edna Krabappel. We have Hank Azaria as Mo Sislak and Chief Wiggum. Chief Wiggum, like I've already mentioned, is one of my favorite side characters. Probably my top. He's probably one of my top side characters. We have Christopher Collins. He's just credited as unknown. Pamela Hayden as Wendell. Wendell was a great character. I don't remember growing up seeing, I mean, he's always in the background, but it was kind of great to see him that he gets car sick, and he kind of looks like a sick kid anyway. And they make it all the way there, and he does get sick, unfortunately. We have Stacy McMurray as SNPP employee in Duff commercial voiceover, and we have Russ Taylor as Sherry Terry, inmate Carbon Rod number 1, and Mrs. Winfield. So like I said, not a lot of Chief Wiggum, but he's one of my favorite side characters. We also get a really great Mo Sislak, kind of the first prank call that's a running joke. I'm not sure if they're still doing it with the newer seasons, but I know the ones that I grew up on and enjoyed as a kid, usually Bart and Lisa will call the tavern, and Mo's, embarrasses himself. The entire bar laughs, and then the kids are laughing, and he always threatens, like, if I ever get my hands on you, I believe on this one he says, I'll cut your heart. So it gets very violent very quickly, and it'd be kind of funny. I doubt they'll ever do it, but if they ever do find out who is doing those jokes, how Mo would truly react if he got a hold of Bart and Lisa. So next category, I got the best joke of the episode, and I thought this one was a great one. So we have TV announcer: loaf time, the cable network for the unemployed. We'll be back with more tips on how to win the lottery right after this. So this is, of course, after Homer's already been fired. He's tried to apply at all these other places, has been rejected. His stubble looks even worse than it normally does, and he's just kind of laying lifeless on the couch, which, if you've ever experienced depression or feeling down, this is a very relatable feeling of just that endless despair, and you don't want to move and do anything, but that's usually the worst thing to do, is just sit there and not do anything. It's usually better to like get up and try to either hang out with friends or go on a walk or do something that takes you out of that kind of endless despair. So That's kind of like the front loading of like of this joke. So we got that, and then the Duff beer commercial. Unemployed, out of work, sober. You sat around the house all day, but now it's Duff time. Duff, the beer that makes the days fly by. Homer, beer. Now that's a temporary solution. Now this is hilarious. I know a lot of people probably, have gone through some kind of drinking problem, so I'm not making fun of them. But I just think that having this entire network, and then I think it's even the writers doing a wink, wink of, hey, beer's not really going to help you, but when some people are very desperate, this might be the only thing they can do to get through something. Which I'm not condoning or anything. I just think it was a very hilarious joke, especially with Homer's state of mind, and then just the overall concept of, a cable network for the unemployed. That's a great. I'm not sure who exactly wrote that aspect of the joke for the episode, but it's fantastic. So next we have the segment of MVP of the episode, and I think this is pretty obvious. It's Homer Simpson. He did a great job, not only with some of the jokes that he said and his mannerisms, but also just, like we talked about at the top, of dealing with losing his job and depression, and just, what he feels bad that he can't provide for his family. And I think any father, any parent, any spouse, any partner would feel similar, where, hey, if you lose your job and your income is dependent on your survival, I don't think anyone should be based on their value on their job. But the realities are, you need to have a job to be able to pay bills. And that's just kind of, unfortunately, the society we live in. I wish it was different. I wish it was more of like a Star Trek society where we can just, do the betterment of humanity and do things that we're passionate about. And I still try to do those things. This is what this podcast is for. So thank you for being a vehicle for my expression. But, we really do. Most people need a job to be able to support themselves and their families. And I think that's just so powerful that Homer, felt lost, and then he found a purpose, and then that purpose ended up being a better job. Overall, I think, this is a comedy sitcom kind of show, so usually the things are wrapped up by the end of the episode, but I think it just shows a really great message. And I think this is why he's the MVP of the episode, is just what his journey went through in that 20-minute episode was very powerful. And I think a lot of people could benefit from not only watching it, but just feeling like, hey, it's okay if you're depressed, or it's okay if you lose your job. It doesn't define every aspect of you, and you still can get up and find something better, hopefully, and be more passionate about. And it was just incredible, honestly. A great episode. This is a fantastic episode. And I know I'm probably going to be saying that for every episode in this golden era of show, of seasons, which is, going to take me years to complete, which I'm very much looking forward to. It's been really fun. I really enjoy doing this. But Homer Simpson is the MVP of Homer's Odyssey. Okay, so I'm adding a new segment. So I don't know if you can see it, but right here is a old Simpsons trivia game. I want to say it's probably from the 2000s. I didn't look on the copyright, but they have trivia questions. And I'm going to read, there's different levels. There's 1 through 5. I'm not going to read all 5, but I am going to read number 4, which I think is pretty interesting. So I just pulled this one out. There's several cards, so this will be a running segment. And then if I run out of cards, which there's a lot, and I remember playing this game when I got it as a kid. And these are kind of like the questions that are like the comic book guy kind of questions would be asked. Like, you go to this big comic panel, and these are just the actors, right? And then they say, hey, in episode 5 of this show, what was that sound in the background? And the actors and even the writers are like, what is this guy talking about? And to me, this trivia game, and maybe I'm just a noob, I don't know, but is very tough on a lot of these questions, and you're just like, how would anyone know these answers? But it's incredible, because I know some probably fans are banging their heads on the screen saying, hey, that's an easy question, or like, hey, you don't know this much about The Simpsons. But that's kind of the fun thing about fandom is no matter your engagement level, if you enjoy something, I feel like you should be able to pursue that and be passionate about it. And I'm having a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and read the first trivia question of the Bort Experience, a Simpsons podcast history. Where did Homer's half-brother live after Homer ruined him financially? I'll give you some time. Da na 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 da 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 da. Well, it's not multiple choice, but it is a great line. So I'll read the question one more time and then the answer. Where did Homer's half-brother live after Homer ruined him financially? Below the poverty line. I thought that was fantastic. I don't know what season his half-brother appears, but it's a great character, voiced by Danny DeVito. He allows Homer, and this is just based on my memory when I was a kid, so if I'm getting some of the details wrong, I apologize, but pretty much Homer discovers that he has a half-brother. He's a really rich car designer and owns a car designing and building company. He lets Homer design his own car. It's a financial disaster. They spent so much money, and it pretty much bankrupts him. And I think he might appear again, and who knows in the newer stuff, but it's a great episode. And it's just kind of funny how Homer kind of ruins other people's lives in certain ways. But I like this segment. Yeah, trivia. I think trivia is always fun. But that is today's episode of the Bort Experience, a Simpsons podcast. Please follow me here on the channel. Please like and subscribe. Also, let me know if you prefer the video or audio version. I asked this question on Threads. I think 70% said they prefer audio for podcast, but I know some of my audio numbers are kind of lower on Spotify, so maybe I need to branch out to potentially other podcasts hosting services, which I can do. I just want to see if there's an appetite for that. Also, please check the description and the link below. It'll have all my links to my social medias, as well as the No Homers Club. A really great community. Again, I shout them out at the beginning of the episode, but go over there, check it out. It's really cool. It reminds me of almost like an old 90s, early 2000s internet board, and it's really cool. There's a lot of active people on there as well, so check that out. Check out, like I said, the podcast on YouTube under the New News Network, and then also check out me on the Bort Experience at Simpsons podcast on Spotify. Please leave questions, comments below. I want to take your feedback to make the show even better. My goal, I'll give you kind of a hint of a future thing that I want to do. I have a projector that I want to be able to hopefully put onto the wall, different graphics and stuff like that, or maybe just a single graphic. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to try to play around with that this weekend here in my tiny corner, what I call a studio. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Bort Experience, a Simpsons podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, peace out.